Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, April 28th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Dan Rubin in just a moment. What a long, strange draft it was. Started off great for the Buckeyes with 4 guys going in the first round. No one really predicted that many would go. Ohio State had the most first-round picks of anyone. They increased their all-time lead to 95. 95 all-time first-round picks for the Buckeyes. I thought the second round went pretty well. And I'm thinking Jack Sawyer is definitely going to go in the third round. He goes in the fourth round. If you're a Steelers fan, you got to be over the moon. And you guys know I was completely wrong about Will Howard. I said he's going to go sometime on the second day, second or third round. Boy, was I wrong. He slips all the way to the sixth round again to the Steelers. Mike Tomlin was at Ohio State's pro day. I got a chance to meet with him. I just talked to him like for a minute or two, one-on-one, cool guy. Mike Tomlin was there with a bunch of Steelers brass. The Bengals and Browns were represented, but they had less people there. Neither head coach was there. Zach Taylor didn't make the trip. Kevin Stefanski didn't make the trip. The Steelers, once again, take Buckeyes that I love and get great deals. I just can't believe it. Cam Hayward, Ryan Shazier, Santonio Holmes. Now you got Jack Sawyer and Will Howard. So I thought that was I was surprised Will Howard slipped to the sixth round. I was surprised that Dillon and Gabriel went ahead of him. I was surprised Kyle McCord went ahead of him. I mean, McCord only went like a couple spots ahead of him, but still, just a weird draft. And then Seth McLaughlin not getting drafted. So they fell one short of the all-time record. So when we get Dan's thoughts on all that, and we get Ryan Day tomorrow. That was unexpected. We get Ryan Day. We have a Ryan Day press conference tomorrow, which is awesome. It's kind of he probably wants to brag a little bit about that draft. That'll help with recruiting, but it'll be nice. And it's not just going to be about the draft. Jerry Emick said, it's going to be a wrap up of spring ball. We haven't talked to Coach Day till right after the spring game. And that was like a quick 5-10 minute press conference. We haven't spoken with him since. And this might be the last time we speak with him until Vegas. The Big Ten Media Days are in Vegas this year. All right, we're going to bring Dan in just a moment. Before we do that, I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at Huel. I'm glad they are back as a sponsor. The Huel Black Edition ready to drink. It's a meal in a bottle, my friends. It's a meal that you drink. One bottle contains 35 grams of protein, 27 vitamins and minerals, and is low in sugar. Huel is a perfectly balanced meal. It's designed by nutrition experts, and it takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. It's a great product, and we have a great deal for you guys. New customers visit Huel.com/today and use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Again, that's Huel.com/today. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Huel was designed by expert nutritionists as a convenient way to get all the daily nutrients that you need. All right, now listen. I mean, it tastes good too. Because if it didn't, I wouldn't be endorsing it. If it tastes bad, I wouldn't tell you guys. I mean, it's a great product and it tastes good. I'm having their chocolate flavor right now. It's good stuff. New customers, visit Huel.com/Bucknuts today. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. Huel.com/Bucknuts. Use my code Bucknuts to get 15% off your first order plus a free gift. All right, there you go. Let's bring in my guy Dan Rubin, Cowboys fan. How you feeling about the Cowboys draft?
I actually kind of liked it. The Cowboys have a lot of problems. One of them is not drafting. Believe it or not, there are more. I think the Cowboys or the Ravens. They switch back and forth more Cowboys draft picks playing than any other team besides the Ravens. They did all right. They did not get the running back I desired from the Ohio State backfield and Quinshon Judkins. Ironically, they got Jaden Blue, who caught 2 touchdown passes against Ohio State. So he probably from Texas. So that probably had something to do with it. But overall, it was certainly entertaining. And listening to your intro, I agree with everything you said. We weren't the only ones who were fooled on Will Howard. And, maybe the theme of this draft will end up being where quarterbacks were taken in general and specifically. I don't have any explanation for what the Browns are doing. That's
Gabriel in the third round. Jeez. Weird.
And then they still pick Sanders.
I thought that was a good pick, but
at some point in time, I get his value is there, but I found the whole thing is just, and to already have Deshaun Watson and the gloved invader Pickett or whatever in there. It's a wacky scene. I mean, I do understand you need a quarterback, and if I hearken back to when the Seahawks paid Jeff Flynn a whole bunch of money, and then Russell Wilson beat him out in training camp, and they went with Russell Wilson. So if you get the quarterback out of it, you're good. I don't know if the Browns have a lot of them. What's the question? If you have 2 quarterbacks, do you have none? If you have 5 quarterbacks, do you have none? They'll have to answer that. But I echo what you said. I was told by people I really trust within the NFL that Howard was going to go several rounds at least better than that. So I can't explain that one. A lot of the other stuff went based on how I kind of expected. I told you, I haven't spoken this on the air, but I told you last week, I told the group on a thread, I didn't think there was any way Donovan Jackson was getting out of the first round. That if you watch college football and you don't think Donovan Jackson is a first round draft pick, when you get into the 20s and it's a risk, then I just didn't think there was any way that would happen, and that materialized. I was surprised Tyleik Williams went in the first, though.
Yeah.
Not surprised is a good word. Not shocked, if that makes any sense.
Right.
I saw a lot of people say they thought he was the number 1 run stuffer in the draft. And the draft, not to get too geeked out, was loaded with 3 techniques. Not a lot of great 1 techniques. So I think that helped Tyleik. The rest of the guys, I was psyched to see Ty Hamilton go in the 5th round. Cody Simon going before Jack Sawyer. You could have won some money in Vegas on that before the season.
Yep.
I'll tell you what's also interesting, Dave, and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I really find it interesting that, and I'm a nerd, you get a lot of 2026 draft chatter, a first mock draft, and first. It is literally a foregone conclusion, if you look at any of these things, that the best player in college football, draftable, plays for Ohio State. To the point where Pro Football Focus was having a discussion about how it's Caleb Downs. No safety has ever been picked first overall. They went back to like the 20s and 30s, and I could be exaggerating there. I don't remember when the draft started. And there was a center got picked first. A guard got picked. There was a back-to-back fullbacks went in like the 30s. No safety has ever been picked first overall. And I mean, if you could get Ed Reed in the draft next year, you should take him. So that's interesting. All in all, I thought it was a really strong advertisement for the program, though. All 4 defensive linemen drafted for the first time ever.
Yep.
By the 5th round, too. And we have told you guys this. The 6th and 7th round are not expected to be as talented going forward, given the fact that NIL's kept a lot of dudes in school. So the depth of the draft at the end may not be as good. All the Buckeyes mostly going in the 5th round and higher was good. The Seth McLaughlin thing, surprising. He did tear his Achilles, and this was a particularly poor draft for centers. I don't know if there was any classic center taken, like Gray Zabel from North Dakota State is going to be flipped over there, but was a versatile guy. Remember last year and the year before, there were 3 or 4 centers taken in the first 60 picks. So just a dearth. Your boys got him. He'll be a starter there. I can tell you this. I talked a lot about the Cowboys draft show and how the guys are unbiased, so it's kind of interesting. They had McLaughlin pegged in the 4th round.
Yeah, I mean, NFL.com had him in the 3rd round. That's by far the highest I saw him. Brugler had him, I believe, in the 5th. Everybody had him getting drafted. I was surprised he wasn't at least a 7th round pick. I know he's coming off an Achilles. I thought maybe it being a weak year for centers would help him. There's another thing, though, and I've talked about this, that I didn't realize till about a week before the draft. I read there was these anonymous scouts. I believe it was on The Athletic, some anonymous front office execs in the NFL. It was a really cool story. It wasn't just about the fact that there was going to be a lot of undrafted free agents that typically would be drafted, but that was a big piece of the story. So basically, these guys were saying there's going to be some guys that normally would get drafted that won't get drafted this year, and they pointed out there's 2 COVID classes coming out, and there was more underclassmen that declared this year than last year. So you put those 2 things together, you're going to have guys like Maybe a G. Scott normally would get drafted. Maybe a Josh Fryer normally would get drafted. But certainly I would think it's Seth McLaughlin. Are you even allowed to be the Remington Award winner and not get drafted? I say that in jest, but that's too bad, man. Seth, I can't believe Seth didn't get drafted, at least in the 7th round. It basically was the Bengals' 7th round pick, as you alluded to, because the Bengals didn't have a 7th round pick. They called Seth probably in the 6th round saying, hey, if you don't get drafted, we want you. So, hopefully it'll work out well for him in the long term. I'm not a guy that subscribes to, well, if you're going to be a 7th round pick, I'd rather be an undrafted free agent. That's not me, because I would rather always say that I was an NFL draft pick. If you're a 7th rounder or you're an undrafted free agent, the odds are stacked against you anyway. And if you think I'm going to make it no matter what, I'd rather be a 7th round pick and say I was always an NFL draft pick. But anyway, man, it was just a long, strange draft. I think the Grateful Dead would have a lot of fun with it. The Doodah Man, trucking.
Sometimes, though, it's free agency, NFL undrafted free agency, UDFA, if you want to search on your X. There's an art to that. People would be surprised how many guys make NFL teams off free agency. They rank it every year. It actually ends up ranking out ahead of the 7th round in a lot of cases. It can happen. I wouldn't be surprised if and McLaughlin is the type of guy who does make it. Injury, tremendous pedigree. He's not going to be a distraction. I don't think you have to worry about Seth McLaughlin partying it up in training camp. So
he's a good guy.
Or bringing other guys out to party with him. So
right.
I'd be surprised if he didn't stick on the Bengals.
Yeah, he's a guy that he did this when he was at Alabama, and he took it to when he came here to Ohio. He's a guy that will do food bank stuff. Like he was with the Mid Ohio Food Bank, and he just helping the less fortunate make sure they have food on the table. So he's just a great guy, and I do believe he's going to have an NFL career. I'm just too bad they didn't tie the record, but still they tied Ohio State's all-time record with 14, still the 2nd most all-time. Good advertisement for Ohio State football. All right, this is going to be a good advertisement for Timeline. It's good stuff here. I am definitely a customer. And let me pull up the actual copy so I don't just freelance here. So Timeline, we're thrilled to welcome them back as a sponsor. They're an awesome sponsor. And like I said, I'm a customer. I'm going to tell you guys about it and a great deal you guys can get. So Timeline's MitoPure supplements are the best supplements for healthy aging. Okay, I've been using them for a little over a month now, and I can already tell a difference. Can't you guys tell? So why is taking Timeline's MitoPure supplements important to me? Well, I feel stronger during my workouts and after my workouts. I recover quicker. I have more energy, period. And I want to support my cellular health. Speaking of which, cellular health is the foundation of well-being and longevity. These MitoPure tablets from Timeline recharge your cells and support any goals you have by making your systems work better. Even if you don't work out, taking them makes you feel better. So it gives you more energy, and anything that gives you longevity and helps your cells, good thing. And here's the deal we can get you. Timeline is offering 10% off your order of MitoPure. Go to timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. That's timeline.com/bucknuts to get 10% off. My youngest daughter would be proud, Dan. She comes home one day. She's getting good grades. Literally, like a few months ago, she came home. She was like, Dad, do you know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell? And I'm like, honey, I'm a sports writer. Of course I don't know that, but I'm glad you know it. Maybe you'll be the doctor one day. I'll be the sports journalist, and you can know things like the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Hence the name Timeline. All right, here we go. Where was I at before I just went off on a tangent about how my daughter is smarter than me? It's a low bar, Dan. It's a low bar.
You're talking to the black sheep, myself right here. So I'm familiar with the lower bars.
That's good, though, right? We want our kids to be smarter than us, because if they were dumber than us,
it happened.
That would be.
Did it happen?
That wouldn't be good. That would not be good.
Mm-mm.
All right. So, let's talk about, we can talk more about that. We can circle back. I think, guys like Cody Simon, I felt great for them. The guy like Ty Hamilton, you mentioned some guys. Even I love that the Arizona Cardinals are stacking up on Buckeyes. I love Paris Johnson Jr. and his family. Monica's been a guest on the show multiple times. So she's doing a good job of recruiting Buckeyes down there. Paris was the first one. He brings Marvin Harrison with them. They get Cody Simon. They get Denzel Burke. Sign Josh Fryer as an undrafted free agent. Get Justin Fry there, who can coach his He can coach some O-line now. Does he like recruiting? No, he does not like recruiting. But he's in the NFL, so he's in a good spot. So I like the Cardinals like stacking up on Buckeyes. Well, let's move on. So getting Ryan Day tomorrow, that's going to be awesome because I don't think we're going to get him again till Vegas. I'm not joking. And this was unexpected. So and Jerry said we can ask him anything, talk about the draft, talk about this year's team, portal, whatever. I'm definitely most interested in what he says about the portal. Are you guys do you feel like you can get a defensive tackle? Is there really nobody in there that you like? What do you think about the guys you got already? Bo Atkinson, Dan, I think was a fantastic get. So I'm just curious to hear, from Coach Day. I think we're going to get him for a long time tomorrow too. A long time meaning probably like 45 minutes, but maybe only a half hour. But there'll be a lot to glean tomorrow. What are you kind of curious to hear most from Coach Day? You also a portal guy?
I'm surprised that they've done as well in the portals they have on the offensive line. That's what jumps out to me about the team in the offseason is the focus on the offensive line, both on the recruiting trail and in the transfer portal. I don't know if I would use the term scarred, but maybe influenced by the longer season. I think it was proven that quality depth is key, as you see basically every player on Ohio State's defense get drafted. Oh, that helped. And I will say this in terms of the draft, going back a little bit, I do think those guys all going in the 5th round, 6th, the fact that people saw them play in the playoffs 4 straight weekends, and beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And this may surprise you, and Dave, you know this, a lot of NFL people don't watch a ton of college football during the football season. Those can be impactful games, and I would be shocked. Plus, you're also winning big games, which is important, by the way, and showing you can contribute in those. I would be very surprised if the playoff run didn't push everybody up a good amount, which is a wonderful thing to recruit on. And going back to what I was originally talking about here, I think they showed they need depth on the offensive line, and that is a really hard thing. Big defensive linemen, big defensive tackles, and big offensive linemen, there just aren't that many of those dudes. They're scarce, and you need them. So they learned their lesson, and it looks to me like they don't want to be caught in any slight even conundrum. They've gone overboard. To me, they've added more offensive linemen in the portal than I thought they would. That's and I really wanted them to add offensive linemen in the portal. And they were like, yeah, hold my beer. Here's 2 more backups. They've also established what I think is a fantastic approach that they and only a few other schools could have the luxury of doing, and that is the state of Ohio produces enough good football players that some guys head out of state to play and then blossom. Now they blossom, and we go get them back. Okay, the transfers have come from West Virginia, an offensive lineman from Purdue. They were looking at, you got our guy from Minnesota. So basically you go out and you intern with another lesser program, show that you are Ohio State caliber, or the numbers work out better and you come back. I love that approach. That's tremendous. That said, defensive tackle, yes, we'd all love I would love a 340-pound Samoan, possibly.
Yes.
Who gets no pass rush.
just
height
the line of scrimmage.
And fire hydrant, take on 2 guys and let Sonny and the crew and Arvell and Caleb run to the ball unencumbered. I say that also because the Cowboys drafted one of them in the 7th round out of UCLA, Jay Toya.
Yeah, I kind of wanted that.
342.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can be productive like that. And these Tyleek, and when they were discussing him, Tyleek Williams is a good example. A lot of discussions, well, I'd like to see him get more pass rush. I get that you want your guys in the middle to get sacks, but you just need to be able to push the pocket and handle the run. Do we have a guy right now that you're comfortable with, like sitting down and take Caden McDonald? Sure. Edric Houston is a young guy who moved over from defensive end. He's not going to be the biggest dude in the middle. Now, he's got 2 more years here. I'll say by the end of the 2026 season, he's going to be discussed in the 1st round because he's going to be 300 pounds by then or close to it with some of those defensive end skills and be able to get to the quarterback, which of course increases your value. But a great defensive tackle or one that can come in and start, I just don't know if that exists. So, I mean, I don't even know how you would acquire one like that. And I put acquire in air quotes. I got to see that one to believe it. Bo Atkinson was a tremendous pickup, but he's a defensive end and a good one. And at the end of the year, if you had to bet right now and rank your top 4 defensive ends in snaps, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bo be, 1 or 2 when it's all said and done. And I mean that as a compliment. But defensive tackle, Dave, I got to see that one to believe it. I've always said that here. It's very hard. Dwayne and I have been talking about trying to get a guy out of the South, God rest his soul, Dwayne, for years, and it never happened. We would geek out about these Louisiana 320-pounders for 3 or 4 months, and then they would never come here. So it's the white whale in some respects, but I don't know if that's going to be cataclysmic. What we need, Dave, is some of those younger guys to step up. The Jason Moores of the world. Need someone like an Eric Mensah to have a great year.
Will Smith Jr.
I would love that. And that one actually, I could see that one happening. That kind of like, that makes sense to me that Will Smith Jr., given a few extra years to bulk up and kind of go to a real defensive tackle, given his bloodlines. I buy that one. Taiwan Malone would be great too, as Brian Ritchie said.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. I like Taiwan a lot. It's just, we've seen it before. I mean, the light can go on as a 5th-year senior. It's not like it's impossible. If you're going to buy it, dog's going to bite, he's going to bite as a pup. I mean, I like that Cooperism, but it's not always true. It's usually true. Some of these Cooper, I was not a John Cooper fan, but I'm a fan of Cooperisms. Dan, it don't catch up with it till it catches up with you. Dan Rubin, they want to gamble, but they want to gamble with my chips. All right, they want to gamble, but they want to gamble with my chips. The fans. The fans are with you. Win.
Vrabel was big on the biting pups analogy too. I heard him use that a few times.
I think that's usually true, but we've seen guys just like Cody Simon's a great example, right? Cody Simon turned it on as a 5th-year senior. I mean, that's as good of and he was never a bad player, but he wasn't like an animal like he was as a 5th-year senior. So
no, the most improved award would be an easy one to give out for their careers from where they entered and where they exited. It would be Cody Simon.
I remember I was pretty high on him because he played a little bit as a true freshman during that coach. And I was thinking, oh, this guy's going to be. And then he just kind of, I was like, okay, he's just going to be a jag, just a guy. And then, bam, he turns into like the best middle linebacker we've had in a long time. And now he's rewarded with a 4th-round pick.
I'll tell you what. Do you remember the play at Notre Dame? And I've said this before. Sam Hartman, I think it was like 3rd and 11, or was it 4th and 11? I can't remember. And Simon, it was a play where Hartman broke out of the pocket to the right, and I'm like, it was a first down, and it was in Ohio State territory, and I was like, and all of a sudden Cody Simon just in a flash just flew across the field, made the play, stopped him, and it was like that play. I don't know. He was from that point on, he was just much better than he was before. I mean, the light had come on or something.
Was that the Kyle? Was that Notre Dame, right? Was that 2023? That was at Notre Dame, right?
It was the one where
because he got benched.
Notre Dame finished the game with too few players.
Yeah, that was the Kyle McCord game. I'll give it to Kyle and had that big pass to Emeka to the goal line. Was it Trainham that ran it in, barely scored with only 10 guys on the field?
But he fell in.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, he did make a good play in that game. And the irony is he got benched the previous year. Remember?
That's what I'm saying.
Knowles benched him after like one play. Lorenzo Styles Jr. Of anybody had a really long reception for the Irish earlier in that game, and Cody Simon got benched, and then he had that
the Etienne Sabino plan.
Jeez,
they got your junior year.
I'm so happy for Cody Simon. Great guy too. Great guy. I mean, these leaders on this team. That's another thing. This we talk about how great of young men they are. This national championship team, like they are, and this goes hand in hand. But like the leadership was just off the charts. I mean, these guys. And whatever you think about religion, I don't even care. But like, I think it's cool that these guys, like, you'd have like 50 guys on the team all go to church together every week. It's just good for bonding. Like, whatever you think about that, like the brotherhood is real over there. All right, I'm gonna ask Dan after I do one more ad read, the final one about Quinn Ewers to the 7th round. I feel bad for Quinn, man. I think they showed him This is why maybe they should have told him the camera's off if he slips to the 7th round. I think he was crying. I kind of feel bad for him. I'm pretty sure he was crying when ESPN was showing him. He might need some cornbread hemp to make himself feel better. It's time to experience your healthy happy hour. Cornbread hemp provides a natural and healthier way to experience a carefree moment. Cornbread's THC gummies offer a balanced sense of happiness and relaxation. So, like if the Bengals would, reach for a pick or 3 or 4 picks, you might need some cornbread hemp to kind of take the edge off. These are America's only USDA-approved organic THC gummies. This is real THC, no synthetics. 100% legal hemp, fast and free shipping. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give cornbread hemp a try. Again, they've created the first ever USDA-approved organic THC gummy. It's 100% legal. And as a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use promo code Bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. Easy for me to say. I will say this. We know you guys are buying cornbread hemp. You know how we know this? Because our ad rep tells us. A lot of people on Bucknuts are buying the cornbread hemp. I'm like, hey, that's the power of the Bucknuts Morning 5.
Those Bucknutters seem so relaxed.
They're basking.
Yeah,
they're basking. They have cornbread hemp. What a time to be alive. Quinn Ewers to the 7th round. We're talking about things I didn't predict. Jeez. It makes Will Howard look like he's like the luckiest man alive. Unbelievable.
One general theme to the draft also should be the overall indignance some guys had at being drafted. Like these guys, a lot of them were getting bad information, and like they were getting picked, and like we're like, hey coach, yeah, thanks in the 3rd round. The one who surprised me was your guy in the 1st round. Looked pissed that he got picked when he did. It's like he thought he was going to go higher than that. It's like, dude, you're lucky you went when you did, bro. You're getting mad. Was it Shamar Stewart? He looked pissed. Didn't he, though? He didn't look psyched. The other guys are like banging on the logo, like, yeah, he's walking up like he's angry.
Well, the other funny thing was, did you see Andrew Barry when they drafted Shador?
Yeah, he looked psyched.
Everybody, and they blamed it on, well, sometimes it doesn't line up. The problem with that is everybody else in the room is clapping, and he's sitting there like pissed off.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jimmy Haslam came in there and said, let's get Shador, and he probably didn't want Shador. We already got our quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, in the 3rd round. I think that was a reach, but that probably was Andrew Barry's pick. And then everybody else in the Browns room is clapping, kind of half-assed. And then Andrew Barry finally notices he's on camera, and he starts clapping.
You know why, Dave? Because he knows 90% of the questions now were not going to be about the other players they drafted. They're going to be about Shador, and he's going to have to stand there and answer those questions, knowing that his owner made him do it and knowing it was goofy. I'll tell you what, though, I hope Hard Knocks is going to Cleveland. I would watch that in a heartbeat. For
that
sure.
TV room is crazy, man. Deshaun Watson. When you say it out loud, it's even crazier. Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett.
Flacco. I forgot about that. That's
Flacco.
Great.
Yeah, you have a Super Bowl champion in Flacco. You got who was there a couple years ago and actually played well. Now you got Dillon Gabriel, and you have Shador Sanders. That is the craziest quarterback room I've ever heard of in the NFL. And I know Deshaun's probably not going to play this year.
Nah,
but it's still funny as heck, man.
It's great. As far as Quinn Ewers goes, what happened, man? Do people remember Quinn Ewers? Go look him up on 24/7 recruiting profile. 100. I think he's like the top-rated player of all time. And another thing, he had a great arm. When you went and watched the video of him, look, when someone has 100 rating and you go check him out, they don't have a noodle arm. He had a rocket launcher. And even when he came here, the ball was so crisp. He's either hurt or something has happened to that dude over the years, because even when we were playing them, the ball doesn't have the same zip. I don't get that. And he also looks like he's been allergic to the weight room. I mean, he doesn't look any different than he did when he was here. He hasn't gained any weight.
Other than the haircut. You're right.
He lost some weight.
Yeah, he does.
He went from 205 to 200 because he cut his hair.
Yeah.
That's shocking. But it lets you know also that, quarterback, it's kind of like Shador. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but it's like with Tebow and Shador. You don't want your backup quarterback to be the media center of your team.
Right.
I don't want to have to worry about checking Twitter and hearing like Shiloh Sanders take a shot at, or should do, whatever his daughter's name is, taking a shot at the coaching staff. And that's inevitable. So I think just potential distraction wise, it's an issue. Now, that said, I will say this. I like Shedeur Sanders. He would have been my top quarterback in the draft heading into the interview process. I guess if he was that bad, he'd have been an issue. I don't think there was another Cam Ward, man. If I would not be psyched if that was my number one draft pick, a guy who started out his college career, incarnate word. Like, I used to have a theory. I didn't want any transfers. If you couldn't beat out the people at your own school, why am I taking you on my NFL team? Now you can't do that anymore, given the way the portal has gone.
Did Joe Burrow change your mind?
I still am suspect.
Did Joey B change your mind? Who changed your mind on that one? Was it Joey B?
Quarterback, I don't think you can do it anymore. Once I saw the statistic 2 years ago that more than 50% of the starting quarterbacks in Division I were transfers, you can't do that anymore. And I do understand the need to get on the field and stuff like that. That's a good question. I'll tell you one who definitely fell true to that is when the Redskins drafted Josh Doxson. I still am like that with skill players. I wouldn't have picked Jameson Williams. I hate to tell everyone that. With skill guys, now there's one. Judkins was an exception, but that made no sense. Judkins transferring, anyone who tells me they could have predicted that the top running back in the SEC was going to come share carries at Ohio State, that's unprecedented to me. So
right.
I feel that's an outlier. I can still like Judkins. That I still, and Dave, you know this, I wanted Judkins after his sophomore year for the Cowboys. Yep. He was always my number one. And that's why I'm not surprised he went in front of Henderson. I said it on the air here. The NFL is not, while it's great to bust off a 60-yard run, that does not happen very often. Go look it up. Guys don't have that. What you need is the guy like 2nd and 2, who's going up the middle on first down and getting me 8 yards. I love 2nd and 2, and Quinshon Judkins is 2nd and 2 waiting to happen. So I'm all over the map here, but
we have an Oregon fan.
Quinshon Judkins, like you said, Quinn Ewers, like you said, I want to know what happened to him physically. Just go back and watch him throw the ball. You know that, like when someone kicks a soccer ball and it goes, woo, or someone throws a football and has that extra little like, whoa, and they, I want to see it come off his hands. It was incredible. And look, we played against him in Texas. He throws a lot of moon balls.
Yeah.
He was throwing to spots and letting guys run under it. He wasn't cannonballing the thing in there. So
right.
Something has happened to him physically or mentally or both. Because the idea that he went in the 7th round when he got a 100 is shocking.
The biggest pay cut we've ever seen going from college to the NFL. This dude, and think about it. He did. People are erroneously saying that, Shedeur should have came back and make more money. Shedeur didn't have an extra year. People are getting this wrong. They're getting him confused with Travis Hunter. Shedeur never redshirted and wasn't a COVID guy. He played 2 years at Jackson State starting in 2021 and played 2 years at Colorado, never redshirted. Quinn Ewers could have come back. And you think about, I don't know exactly what he was making at Texas. I'm sure it was a lot. When Carson Beck transferred to Miami and they gave him $4 million, you think if Quinn Ewers wanted to transfer, thinking maybe Arch Manning's going to get the job, I'll transfer to Miami. If they're giving Carson Beck $4 million, you know they would have gave Quinn Ewers $4 million. And now what's he going to make as a 7th round pick? Was he going to have is like a $90,000 signing bonus or something like that?
I think he was done with college football. And keep us in mind, not many 7th. He's really the first NIL guy. We paid him good money to come here and hold a clipboard and go to meetings. So he's not your normal 7th round pick. I have to assume, I could be wrong here, he's a millionaire several times over already.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not the normal decision. I think he just wanted – I don't blame him for not going and playing for $4 million at Auburn. I'm just off the top of my head. I don't blame him for that. It's time to get on with your career. And he's got millions and millions of dollars already.
Right.
It's not like your regular 7th round pick who's, playing for less than half a million dollars. God forbid.
All right, last thing. I don't do movie reviews on here, but I am a big Bob Dylan fan. I haven't listened to Bob Dylan music in a while, but I've always loved Bob Dylan going back to when I was in college. And I finally, Because during football season, my head's like cut off, like, and I only have time to like do certain stuff. I'm like a chicken with his head cut off during football season, trying to keep up with everything. Finally, I have time to do stuff like watch that Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown. Have you seen this?
I've not. My daughter and my wife went and saw the movie theater because my daughter, shocker, likes Chalamet.
Oh yeah, I mean, and by the way, Julian Sand and could play Timothy Chalamet in a movie. They look like each other, don't they? They look like they're brothers. Timothy Chalamet and Julian Sand look a lot alike.
Is that good, Dave?
Can he look
like the guy from Reacher, who's like 6'5"? Can we get him to look like Tyler Shuck? By the way,
I know.
I want to mention this before you say anything. If you were hanging out at your house on Saturday, actually, I think it was Saturday, it might have been Friday, and you looked around, you're like, or you were out and about, and you looked around and said, there's normally a lot more beautiful blonde women around. They were all at Tyler Shuck's house. I've never seen anything like that. Every woman in the picture, I've got to go back and check it out. And the dog still stole the show, which was excellent, but shed no tears for Tyler Shuck and his injuries. It all worked out for our guy. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He's like a tambourine man, you know? I mean, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, Bob Dylan, I love Bob Dylan. This movie, if you guys haven't seen it, A Complete Unknown, it's fantastic.
Oh, good to know.
And I like my movies usually a little under 2 hours. This one's a little over, but it's not too long, and it flies by. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes long. It's my first, maybe my only time ever on the Bucknuts Morning 5 giving a movie review, but A Complete Unknown. It's been out a while. I'm probably the last person who's a Bob Dylan fan that actually finally saw it, but great stuff. We have a lot of people saying that Bob was a Bucknut. I like that. That's awesome. All right, so yes, watch the Bob Dylan movie and watch Julian Sand playing the lead role. Okay, it's Timothy Chalamet. All right, Dan. Now I'm sure you're gonna go watch that movie now that I recommended it after we do the boarding house. Great stuff from Dan Rubin. I appreciate it, my man.
I enjoyed it.
All right, thanks everybody. We appreciate everybody in the live chat. We appreciate everybody who's listening to the show. Very large live audience. We love that. Thanks again to Dan. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day. Go Bucks. Still basking.